There comes a moment in every human life when silence becomes heavier than sound, when the universe stops whispering and begins to speak clearly. And today, this message reaches you not by accident. God said, "This is my last and final warning to you, not to frighten you, but to awaken you, not to punish you, but to redirect you, not to break you, but to rebuild you." Life has tried to teach you through discomfort, through delays, through losses, through intuition that you kept ignoring, through signs you saw but didn't act on. But now the universe is no longer sending hints. It is sending clarity. This message is that clarity. You are being asked, no, called, to rise. Because the version of you that the world needs cannot be built in hesitation. And the version of you you have been living as is too small for your destiny. There comes a moment in every person's life when the universe stops speaking in gentle whispers and begins to speak in ways that cannot be ignored. You begin to feel it in the heaviness of your chest, in the quiet ache of your spirit, in the fatigue that settles into your bones every time you return to a place, a habit, or a person that no longer serves your growth. This is not coincidence. This is not weakness. This is your inner self, your higher self, trying to protect you from the very things you continue to run back to. The message is simple, and yet it is one of the hardest lessons a human being must learn. Stop returning to what damages you. Damage does not always look like destruction. Sometimes it looks like familiarity. It looks like comfort. It looks like a place you have known for so long that you have forgotten how to exist outside of it. Sometimes it looks like the people who once felt like home but have now become a cage. Sometimes it looks like the habits that once helped you cope but now keep you trapped. Sometimes it looks like the version of yourself you keep choosing because you are afraid of who you might become. If you truly let go of your past, damage can be quiet. It can be subtle. It can disguise itself as love, as loyalty, as nostalgia, as temporary relief. But deep down, your soul always knows the truth. It knows when something is draining you. It knows when something is pulling you backward. It knows when something is lowering your vibration, weakening your discipline, clouding your purpose. It knows, even when your mind refuses to listen. Every time you return to what damages you, your spirit becomes a little heavier. Not because you are weak, but because you are betraying yourself. There is a certain type of exhaustion that comes from physical labor, a fatigue that you can cure with rest. But there is another kind of exhaustion, the spiritual one, that no amount of sleep can fix. It is the exhaustion you feel when you keep giving your energy to situations that do not deserve it, to people who do not appreciate it, to habits that destroy it. You can rest your body, but if your spirit remains in the same toxic environment, the fatigue will return the moment you wake up. Life tries to warn you in gentle ways at first. Small discomforts, subtle intuition, quiet uneasiness. Maybe you feel a shift in someone's words. Maybe you notice your mood changing around certain people. Maybe you catch yourself feeling anxious in the very environment you keep convincing yourself is okay. These are signs. These are whispers. But most people ignore whispers because they don't want to confront the truth. Confrontation requires courage, and courage requires change. And change is something the mind often resists, even when the soul is begging for it. So the universe increases the volume. The discomfort grows stronger. The signs become louder. People reveal their true intentions. Situations collapse. Habits show their consequences. Peace becomes harder to find. You begin to feel disconnected from your own life. That is not punishment. That is guidance. When something is no longer aligned with your spirit, the universe will remove your comfort from it. Not because it wants to harm you, but because it wants to prevent you from continuing to harm yourself. Still, many people return. They return because they fear loneliness, because the unknown terrifies them more than the pain they have learned to tolerate. Because suffering has become familiar, and familiarity can feel safer than healing. Because they have confused attachment with love, routine with loyalty, and temporary relief with peace. But every return carries a cost. Every time you go back to what damages you, you take something away from the person you are meant to become. You delay the life that is trying to reach you. You push away the blessings that require a healthier version of you. You close the door to opportunities that cannot coexist with the environments and people you refuse to let go of. The truth is harsh but liberating. You cannot carry your old life into the new chapter that is waiting for you. The habits that numbed you will not help you rise. The people who doubted you will not help you grow. The places where you became small will not allow you to expand. The routines that kept you safe will not unlock your potential. You must release the weight before you can rise. You must detach from the past before you can walk into your destiny. You must stop entertaining what weakens you if you want to step into what strengthens you. Letting go is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of self-love. You are not abandoning people. You are choosing peace. You are not betraying your past. You are honoring your future. You are not being selfish. You are finally learning to protect your energy. There is nothing noble about tolerating environments that harm your spirit. There is nothing admirable about staying in places that break you. There is nothing virtuous about shrinking yourself so others can feel comfortable. You were not sent to this world to survive in pain. You were sent to evolve, to expand, to elevate. The moment you stop returning to what damages you, everything begins to shift. Your mind becomes clearer. Your emotions become lighter. Your boundaries become stronger. Your intuition becomes sharper. The heaviness that once lived in your chest begins to dissolve. You start to feel differently. Not because life magically became easier, but because you finally stopped fighting the guidance that was always meant to lead you toward a better path. What damages you is not only external. Sometimes the most harmful thing you return to is your own old identity, the one built from fear, from doubt, from insecurity, from past experiences that shaped you but no longer define you. You keep returning to limiting beliefs that tell you you're not enough. You return to memories of failure that convince you not to try again. You return to stories you outgrew but continue to repeat because they feel familiar. You return to a version of yourself that no longer fits who you are becoming. And so life tries to break that identity, not to hurt you but to free you. Growth requires death, the death of old belief systems, old patterns, old comfort zones. You cannot become the person you were meant to be while holding on to the person you used to be. Sometimes what damages you is not malicious. It is simply outdated. Some people were only meant to walk with you for a chapter, not your entire book. Some habits served you in survival mode, but cannot serve you in growth mode. Some environments were stepping stones, not destinations. And when you cling to what has already expired, suffering becomes inevitable. Pain becomes the teacher you refuse to learn from gently. Nothing in life stays forever, and that includes the things you are afraid to outgrow. But the beauty of letting go is that it creates space for peace, for clarity, for purpose, for new blessings that were always waiting for you to make room for them. But why is it so hard? Because your mind is wired for familiarity, not happiness. Because healing requires moving through discomfort, and discomfort is something most people avoid. Because letting go feels like losing something, even when what you're losing is what is hurting you. Because we fear the unknown, even when the known is destroying us. But the unknown is where your transformation lives. The unknown is where your strength grows. The unknown is where your life begins again. And God, the universe, your inner self, whatever name you choose, will keep sending you the same lesson, the same signs, the same warnings, until you finally choose yourself. Your intuition is not random. It is your internal compass. Every time you feel uneasy around someone, that is guidance. Every time you feel drained after certain conversations, that is a signal. Every time you try to rest, but your spirit still feels heavy, that is a warning. Your soul speaks long before your mind understands. But if you silence your intuition because you fear change, then life will intervene in a way that you cannot ignore. The collapse you experience is often the breakthrough you avoided. The ending you feared is often the beginning you needed. The discomfort you feel is often the universe removing you from what you refuse to walk away from voluntarily. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff. Behind you is everything familiar, even if it has been hurting you. In front of you is open sky, uncertain, unfamiliar, unpredictable. Most people step backward because fear convinces them that safety exists in what they already know. But real safety exists in alignment, not in comfort. Real protection exists in truth, not in familiarity. Real peace exists in release, not in attachment. And sometimes, the universe will push you forward because it knows you will never jump on your own. You must understand something deeply. Holding on to what damages you is not loyalty, it is self-abandonment. Staying where you are mistreated is not patience, it is self-neglect. Returning to what breaks you is not love, it is a form of spiritual self-harm. You were not created to suffer repeatedly in the same cycle. You were created to grow beyond it. You must choose differently if you want to live differently. You must be brave enough to walk away from the people who do not value you. You must be disciplined enough to release the habits that sabotage you. You must be conscious enough to recognize the patterns that repeat in your life. And you must be honest enough to admit when something or someone is damaging you, even if you once loved it. The moment you choose yourself, you break the cycle. The moment you prioritize your peace, you end the pattern. The moment you walk away from what damages you, you step into alignment with what was meant for you. And alignment is where miracles happen. Alignment is where clarity returns. Alignment is where your true life begins. This is why the message comes as a warning. Not from fear, but from love, because you are standing at a crossroads, and the universe is telling you that you cannot go forward while still carrying what is pulling you backward. If you want to step into your destiny, you must release what has been draining your spirit. If you want to evolve, you must stop returning to what keeps you small. If you want to feel peace again, you must stop choosing your old pain. You are stronger than your patterns. You are bigger than your past. You are greater than the limitations you once settled for. And the moment you stop returning to what damages you, life will begin to open in ways you have not yet imagined. There is a moment in life when the truth you have been avoiding begins to rise within you like a quiet fire, slow but persistent, calm but unignorable. It sits in your chest, not as anxiety but as pressure, not as fear but as a calling. You feel it when the world around you grows silent, and you notice a small whisper inside saying, "You are meant for more than this." It is not loud, it is not dramatic, it is steady, patient, and timeless. That whisper is your purpose, and it has been calling your name for years. But too often, you silence it with distractions, doubts, excuses, and the belief that you have more time. But life, in its wisdom, begins to warn you. You must answer your purpose before it's too late. Purpose does not scream. It does not force itself into your life. It waits. And while it waits, it watches you repeat the same cycles, protect the same limitations, and carry the same fears that prevent you from becoming who you were created to be. Purpose is the quiet, knowing that you are not living at your full capacity. It is the awareness that you have potential inside you that you have not touched. It is the feeling that something greater is possible, something more aligned, more authentic, more meaningful. And yet, even with this awareness, many people continue to postpone their calling, believing that someday will come on its own. But someday is not a guarantee. Someday is a comfort you give yourself, so you don't have to confront the discomfort of change today. You have talents inside you that have been dormant for too long. You have dreams you abandoned, not because they were impossible, but because you convinced yourself you were not ready. You have ideas that entered your mind not by accident, but because they were seeds meant to be planted through your actions. You carry wisdom shaped by your struggles, vision shaped by your imagination, and strength shaped by your survival. All of these were given to you for a reason. Your purpose has been patiently waiting for the moment when you would finally choose to listen. But life is reminding you now, if you do not answer your calling, the world will never receive the gifts only you can bring. The greatest tragedy in life is not failure. It is not rejection. It is not defeat. The greatest tragedy is living a life where your potential remains untouched, your dreams remain unexpressed, and your gifts remain hidden. The greatest tragedy is waking up decades later and realizing that your soul wanted to grow, but your fear kept you small. That your purpose tried to reach you, but your excuses stood in the way. That life offered you opportunities, but you rejected them because you doubted your own worth. There is no pain greater than the pain of unrealized possibility, the pain of what could have been. The calling inside you does not go away. You can ignore it, bury it, distract yourself from it, but it will always return. Some nights it keeps you awake. Some days it feels like restlessness. Sometimes it shows up as dissatisfaction, even when your life seems fine on the outside. That feeling is not confusion. It is direction. It is the universe telling you, this is not your final form. This is not the end of your story. The discomfort you feel is not something to escape. It is something to investigate. Because every dream inside you is a responsibility. Every talent inside you is an assignment. Every ability inside you is a message. And the message is clear. You were not sent here just to exist. You were sent here to create, to influence, to evolve, to elevate others through your own growth. Purpose does not require perfection. It requires willingness. Yet many people wait for the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect confidence before they begin. But perfection is the enemy of progress, and waiting for it is the fastest way to lose your destiny. The right time is not in the future. The right time is the moment you decide to take one step forward. The right time is when you are still breathing, still learning, still capable of choosing a different path. As long as breath is in your body, purpose is in your reach. But the more you neglect it, the harder it becomes to hear its voice. Not because it weakens, but because your distractions grow louder. Many people tell themselves the lie that one day they will chase their purpose. After things get easier, after life becomes stable, after fear disappears. But ease is not where purpose lives. Purpose is born in challenge, strengthened in discipline, expanded in courage. Purpose requires you to walk through uncertainty with trust. It asks you to leave behind the version of yourself built from your past and step into the version built from your potential. It asks you to stop hiding behind excuses and start living behind intention. Your purpose is calling you because there is something only you can do. Your voice carries a frequency no one else carries. Your experience carries a lesson no one else can teach. Your journey carries a medicine no one else can provide. There are people in this world who will only be touched, moved, or awakened through your presence, your words, your actions, your example. If you silence your purpose, you silence the impact you were meant to create. You may think your dream is too small, but you do not know how far its ripple will reach. You may think your talent is insignificant, but you do not see how deeply it could heal another person's life. You may think your ideas are not enough, but you do not understand that even one idea pursued with courage can shift the course of your future. You may think your voice does not matter, but there is someone in this world who needs to hear it. someone whose breakthrough is waiting on your bravery. The fear you feel is not a sign to stop. It is a sign that you are standing at the edge of your growth. Fear does not mean you are unprepared. Fear means you are expanding beyond the limits of your past. Every meaningful transformation begins with fear. Every powerful journey